Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Julpy and Ghosty.
So, did you have your part edited from that super secret Middle America?
No, remember I said everything wasn't lining up and you said just stop, it's 2 a.m.
Yeah, it was 2 a.m.
Yeah, and then I went to the gym and then did school and now we're doing this.
We don't know anyone an explanation.
Oh, I was explaining to you.
You don't know anyone either. Okay, so for time and topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. We've got a very, very, probably the best Middle America documentary / whatever. It's coming out. We're very, very excited.
The accuracy.
And I'm hoping the goal is to lose about 30 subscribers.
I really wish, I know I have the picture, unsubscribe, but I really wish that there was a button. Actually, it would be the same as the subscribe button, right?
That's the goal.
Anyway.
No,
the goal isn't to lose subscribers. No. The goal is to tell the truth so much so that, you probably get some people mad at you. But we're not going to kind of make that something.
Well, I had a friend of mine. He's like, you're just trying to CYA. He doesn't realize the joy that I get from people
CYA?
Cover your bum.
Oh.
He doesn't understand the joy I get from people being angry at me.
No.
Something wrong with me. I'm well aware of it. I know something's wrong with me. All right.
I used to be like that more.
Yeah, I know. Then you've abandoned me. All right.
No.
This is God of Love from the band.
Homie that got us this? That made this for me?
Yes. Shout out to the big homie, wherever you are. God of Love from the band Liturgy.
Yeah.
This is for the big homie. Blastroid. So there's multiple ways to get your song reviewed on. One is to send me an email. What's up, Chris? Another one is to join an alliance, which is my favorite one because it's a community oriented and I like community and things like that. And then the most direct way to do it, $75, it sends you right to the top of the line, like at Disney World. And so this is what we did. So having said that, this is by the band Liturgy. The name of this song is God of Love. I'm extremely interested to hear this.
I feel like
song.
I saw this. Hey, if you're watching this video and you remember seeing comments with asking for this band, if you can let me know in the comment section, because I'm pretty sure that people that were asking for this for a while, we just weren't able to get to it. So
the name of the album is HAQQ. That's interesting.
Okay, ready? Go. I like that.
Beautiful stuff, man.
Yeah, it is.
interesting. Some of these lines are very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Hajj, H-H-H-A,
yeah,
is the pilgrimage that you take to Mecca. And then he talked about the gash in the Kaaba right there. And then the last song is
Hajj?
Haq.
No, Haq.
Which Haq means truth in Arabic.
Interesting.
Do you know Haq? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Haq means truth in Arabic. So it's very, very interesting stuff. Let me just see one thing for 1 second on your thing. I can blow this up here real quick. Genesis call, Val, Rain, Ray. This thing is like an escape room almost.
Tell him, what is this?
Axiology.
It's the album cover?
Cosmogony, eschatology. Yeah, so this guy is very familiar with religious themes, that's for sure. These black metal guys, this is sort of like a, I'm pretty sure this is black metal. It had the tremolo picking, but it's also got that, what's his name? BM Fan is a fan of this genre.
Black
it's like,
death metal?
It's like avant-garde.
Blackened. Oh.
Avant-garde, he called it. He called it avant-garde, whatever. I forgot the name of the band that we did 2 songs, and it was like 2 hours to break down the song because it was so theological.
Mm-hmm.
Remember they did Sola Fide?
Yeah, that's right.
That song. And then they did one on the Hypostatic Union, I think. But, yeah, man. This song was, lyrically, it was kind of avant-garde, and it kind of had a similar, really good themes to it. But the interesting thing about this song is that it seemed, first of all, I love tremolo picking, so I'm a sucker for that. Thank you very much, Blastroid. But, like, it just seemed like glorious, like,
especially
like
at the beginning.
Yeah, like this kind of like uplifting type of thing. It's very interesting to me what people do with black metal.
Yeah.
Like how far...
Did you know that's where it was going? Like...
No, not at all.
I had no clue what type of song, what type of music we were like headed into. Because the way that it started was so, wow. It sounded like the beginning of like some awesome worship session.
Yeah, and I'm not...
I was like, I'm going straight to heaven on this one.
I'm not
and
sure.
then the music, I was like, hell.
Hell. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not necessarily sure that we didn't go to heaven on this one. It was just so, like, triumphant and inspiring.
Yeah, yes.
Like not what you think of when you think of black metal. I have my dream lineup of Batushka and Magua, but this band could probably open up for them because, good Lord, it's just... There's a harp, there's a glockenspiel on this song. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff here. Okay, so... Clean up the saints and wipe the blossoms, stage a coup in Evangelion. Which the Greek term for gospel is euangelion, which is basically the U becomes a V, and that's where you get evangel or evangelical or whatever, but it's euangelion, which is good news. It's so funny how the root word, that EU stands for something good or to speak well of. So when you say eulogy, it's a combination of EU and logos. So a eulogy is when you speak a good word about a person.
Someone.
Yeah. So but English is such a strange language because you turn the U in euangelion to a V, but then the U in eulogy we kept.
Yeah, that's
so
weird.
It's weird decision making.
Why?
But anyway, so clean up the saints and wipe the blossoms, stage a coup in Evangelion. Okay, well the most literal term for Evangelion is gospel, but it's probably talking about maybe Christendom or evangelicalism or whatever. So stage a coup in Evangelion. Virginity. I love this line right
Me too.
Play of my mouth arise.
So when I heard the beginning of the song and like I glanced at these lyrics and I saw that part, I was like, I cannot wait to hear what they're gonna do when they bring that part out. But then it was the type of vocals that I'm not really into. So I was like, oh, curses, because I couldn't even hear him say it.
Yeah, I couldn't really hear.
Yeah.
Those were like, I think I was able to follow along for like 38% of where he was going, like vocally, but I was just like, well, we know the lyrics.
Not me,
so
it was zero. I didn't get any of it.
Yeah, but like Clay.
Even when he started it, I was like, did he just say clean up the sand?
That's a good line, though.
Yes.
Clay of my mouth
arise.
Why was that such a big one?
Well, just because we're made of clay. Like if you go by the Genesis story, like he takes, and then that's how he forms Adam. And so when you think clay of my mouth, it's this recognition that you're not all powerful and that you are made of dust. But then it's calling it to arise. Like it's like there's some greatness behind that. It's not just, you're just not made of clay, but there's also something in you that's crazy that could cause your mouth to arise. And when you think of, obviously we're Christians, so it said that God breathed the breath of life into Adam. So there's like this picture that they're face to face and God breathes into him the breath of life, and then Adam's eyes open and he looks like up at God, and it was like, clay of my mouth arise. Like what makes it arise is the breath of God that's inside of you. But you call that out even from the time that Adam was born and all the way through our lives. Like it's calling that greatness out of ourselves, because we know that we're greater than clay, but sometimes we feel like we're only clay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that sermon, sort of like preaching to yourself, which I like.
Yeah. I'm not...
What did it mean to you? I mean, I'm not saying that's where he was going with it, but...
Yeah.
It's hard.
I'm not particularly certain who the narrator is here. So, like, for example, I hold 7 solar systems in my hand, kiss them and lick them with my little tongue.
Yeah, I was a little confused on that.
You granted me a swarm of bees. You took the Kaaba through the gash. That's very interesting. If it's talking about Kaaba, like the Kaaba in Mecca, there have been a couple times when the Kaaba has been gashed, like literally. But it's still standing on the other end.
Is it the Kaaba, that little building that holds that black rock?
Yeah, the black stone. Yeah, the Kaaba.
What's the difference between the rock and the stones?
Well, it's just technically called a black stone. They don't call it the black rock.
Okay.
A rock is just something that, like, I don't know. To me, it's like a rock as you just find it on the ground or whatever. Oh. A stone is more formal, I think.
Oh.
But this little section here is so beautiful. Swan on the surface arise.
Yeah.
Weeping little cosmos announce. Call of the lambs on the rise. Soft little hand let go. Child in a cape, take charge. Eyes of the woolly lamb well up. Bray at the nebula of Christ, hold my teeming hand. So I'm not certain who is speaking here. It's not God, because the person is addressing God. Mm-hmm. And it's a person could say, well, aren't you a Trinitarian? Well, he's not talking, it doesn't look like he's talking to Jesus as Jesus either, because he's saying, Bray at the nebula of Christ, hold my teeming hand.
What's nebula mean?
Star system, like a cluster. It's like I think you've got like...
So what are they
stars,
saying in there?
Galaxies, nebula, da-da-da-da-da. It's like star system in space or something like that.
I hate the word cluster.
Hold my teeming hand. So it's a very interesting, like, who exactly is the narrator here? It's a very interesting one.
What do you think God of love you granted me a swarm of bees means?
Yeah,
I always get like these ADD thoughts. Like I remember hearing this story, whether or not it's true, I can't source it, Vin. I can't source it. But there was this, this ship that had sunk, and the people were in the ocean, and it was freezing cold, and they were praying like for God to like help them. And then like this whole bunch of jellyfish came in, and the lady was like, oh, of course. And then they all got stung by these jellyfish. But apparently, like, jellyfish, when they sting you, it's like extremely painful, and it makes your skin feel like it's like burning. And so then they didn't feel the cold anymore, because they were experiencing the burning in the cold water. So it was kind of like not so bad. And so even though it looked like a horrible situation, it was actually helpful. And so when it said you granted me a swarm of bees, it just is there some good angle to this, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it says God of love, you granted me a swarm of bees.
Well, and the name of the song is God of Love.
Yeah.
Which the Hodge song has no lyrics to it. And the Hawk song has no lyrics to it either.
Oh, interesting.
So that's a little.
I wonder if they sound.
That's a little bit frustrating.
I wonder what they sound like.
Yeah.
Like if they sound like the beginning of this one.
Exaco 1 has no lyrics to it. Maybe Virginity does. Let's see. Virginity has no lyrics.
What?
What about Passacaglia? No lyrics.
Nothing.
Exacto 2.
So maybe he gave us the only one that
No lyrics.
instrumental.
Exacto 3. No lyrics. Hawk.
So then none of them.
Lyrics.
God of Love is literally the only one that
God
has
of
lyrics.
Love is the only song that had, and then there's in the lyrics.
It leaves us all confused.
No lyrics, and so the only lyrics are here.
Vin, like, I'm hearing a lot of words, but I'm not getting a lot of understanding here. What is the song about? Or are you unclear?
Well, so if you look at what it says, Swan on the surface arise, weeping
Yep.
little cosmos announce.
Yep.
And he starts off by talking about staging a coup in Evangelion.
Yeah, what's a coop? A coop, I just think of where you put the chickens.
No, a coup. A coup is when you try to overthrow a government. Like, people are saying this impeachment.
So try to overthrow
this
religion?
Impeachment stuff is a coup. You know.
Okay.
So it's where you try to overthrow a legitimate government.
How do you spell coop if it's a chicken coop?
O-O-P.
Oh. Okay. Clean up the saints and wipe the blossoms.
Well, you'd have to clean them up after you murdered them all in order to stage your coup. See what I'm saying?
Ooh.
So I'm thinking maybe the author here is the devil, as Dorian used to say. He used to say devil with a B. And then this one right here, child in a cape take charge, eyes of the woolly lamb well up. You know, like, you know, with kids and they dress up like Superman and they got that kind of innocence about them.
Yeah.
But if this is the devil talking, that would be the Antichrist, right? Like, and then eyes of the woolly lamb well up, and the lamb would be Jesus, right? So it would be kind of like, we just staged this coup, and now this kid is, and it's a really interesting thought, because every time you think about the Antichrist, which of course we have probably a very, very different view of the Antichrist than most people have, but like when you think about the Antichrist, like at one point he was a 5-year-old boy.
I know.
That
I always think of stuff like that.
You know, would have been extremely ambitious probably, and would have. I remember the first time I saw Superman, because I wasn't born in America, so like the concept of Superman, like, you just, all your life Americans just know about Superman. But,
I know. Like, I didn't even think till this moment. Like, I've never thought it through.
Yeah.
But I guess I just felt like that it was universal.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's not.
Of
So, and
not.
I wasn't introduced to Superman through the comics. I was introduced to Superman through the Chris Reeve movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so, like, it was
the
mind
idea
blowing. And of course, all the Christological, there's so many Christological, you know, parallels between Superman and Jesus. He comes from another planet. I mean, his name has God's name in it. Kal-El, his name is Kal-El, and which, of course, it's got the L in it, and the L is usually separated in a dash. I mean, that's the term for God.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember the first time you started pointing that stuff out to me, I was like, this is mind-blowing.
He's pure, he's a savior,
Yeah.
you know, he's just the epitome of goodness, you know. And I just remember,
he
like,
dies in the end, though.
seeing it. What do you mean?
Doesn't Superman
Well, he
eventually?
dies, he fights Doomsday, he dies, and then he rises from the dead.
Oh, he does?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not as familiar with all.
Yeah, so he, I remember when the whole Doomsday thing happened, it was like big news. My brother bought the comic, he cried. It was a crazy situation.
Oh, man.
But my point is, like, I remember, like, watching that movie and just being like, wow. There's only like 3 or 4 times I've ever watched a movie. The Matrix was one. Superman, like, changes your life. And Superman was one of them. Like, it was just like, whoa. You know, like, I couldn't believe it. And I remember, you know, my mom, you know, stuffing my shirt with a towel. Wanted to be like Superman.
Oh, if you could have seen yourself now, you'd have been like, all right.
She's like, come on, Vince, come. And
what
so
did she do? Put it straight across, like rolled it and put it straight across?
Well, she rolled it into his back, and I would run, and I was like, is it flopping? She goes,
you mean as the cape? I thought you meant it's like the muscles.
It's the cape. No. She put the cape in my shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Cape. She did it really, really good. She folded it a couple times, you know, and then jumped down the stairs. And
so you wanted to know if your cape was flying?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
She's like, I think you have to run faster, you know, Vincent. So,
how old were you?
4 or 5. I mean, I just come to the country, you know what I'm saying? So
cute.
So anyway, you know.
Where's that picture of you when you were about that age?
I think it's in my phone. I think I put it up on Insta. But the point is, you know, child in a cape, you know, like if, you know, eyes of the woolly lamb, well, I mean, the lyrics are so vague and avant-garde that, I mean, how could you possibly tell? How could you possibly know? But if it's the Antichrist, it's a very, very, this guy's got a very beautiful way of writing lyrics.
Oh, I know. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but I really like the sound of it.
Yeah, he's got a really, really beautiful way of writing lyrics. So it's like, he's telling his child, you know, braid the nebula of Christ, hold my teeming hand, you know, like. So that would basically be the devil, but this is probably the most beautiful devilish narration I've ever heard in my life, if it's the devil. And this is what I would expect the devil to write if he was writing poetry. It'd be the most beautiful swan on the surface arise, weeping little cosmos announce. Which the gospel, the euangelion, is actually a proclamation, especially in the Greek milieu. You would announce, the town crier would announce the euangelion, the good news of Caesar and his birth and how awesome that was for the Pax Romana and blah 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 blah. And the Christians said, "Thank you very much," and they took the term and said, "We've got the ultimate emperor, yada yada yada." And so that's where, you know, that's how. So when it says here, weeping little cosmos announce, you know, it's the he's got his version of his gospel or his good news or whatever. And so holding the seven solar systems in his hand. Go ahead.
That's something familiar. Where did that come from? Wasn't there something like hold the 7 solar systems in my hand? I gotta just, you carry on. I thought I've seen like a picture or something. What did it say? Hold 7.
Hold the 7 solar systems in my hand. You're so slow.
I don't work doing that all the time.
I mean,
no, I'm just seeing solar panels.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I thought I saw something one time where, like, I don't know, there was like a creature and it had like, I don't know. Honey, I have a question. Ugh, it's like grossing me out in my mind. But like, I remember when we were growing up, they always told us that like the devil was like the chief musician, and he had like, this is what I always pictured, which is why it's grossing me out. Like, you know when you go to a Catholic church and they have all of those things for the organ going straight up with the holes in the top?
Yeah.
Like, they made it sound like right inside of his chest was the pipe. Why did they say that?
Because in the description in Isaiah and Ezekiel, it talks about, you know, your pipes and yada yada yada. But that's Elizabethan KJV English. It doesn't literally mean pipes. It's just talking about jewels and things like that.
Jewels? So it doesn't have anything to do with music?
No.
You've got to be kidding.
That's why when I told you about...
So he's not a chief musician?
There's nothing...
He never says anything like that?
No, he calls him a cherub. He calls him a guardian cherub.
Yeah.
Or a cherub. But it doesn't say that he's a singer or anything like that.
That was like the big... that was like the thing.
The
against rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. The devil was the musician. Yeah. It's just...
Wow.
It's just the King James... but this is why I told you when I said, what does it mean to fetch a compass?
Right.
And you're like, oh, that means they went down into the boat and got a compass. Well, no. In their language, to fetch a compass means to circumvent an island.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. Yeah, so, you know, the KJV says...
So it was talking about his jewel.
KJV says something, your pipes. Yeah, there you go. It's like...
Right,
so Ezekiel
and your pipes are prepared,
yeah. So Ezekiel 28, it says, you know, you're in the garden of God, da-da-da-da. So in an NIV it says your settings were made of gold, yada yada yada. But then, you know,
where's the King James?
Crafted in gold. And
all of them are saying. So what does that mean, though? Even still,
the King James says, you know,
and thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created.
Yeah.
How do they say pipes?
But again, this is how languages evolved.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were in Elizabethan English,
but even still, that doesn't. What does that even mean? That he was like made of? Oh, he wasn't made of gold. Oh, unless
he was a very beautiful.
Unless your theory about that is correct, and it was talking about his color.
Well, yeah, he was a brilliant, shining cherub, seraph, angel. I mean, he was an amazingly beautiful angel. So,
right, because if you were to explain like a peacock,
right,
you know,
yeah,
you would. I mean, it's literally not gold on their little things, but it's very. Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay. So holding the seven. So look, from a biblical perspective, Ephesians, I think 3 calls Satan the prince of the power of the air or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like he a lot of people attribute that to him, like they say that space is his realm, and so that's how they explain aliens and things like that, because that's their realm, that's where they operate, because those guys are usually doing something evil. There are never any Christian aliens. Like there's never any aliens that like have orthodox Christian theology ever. So that might be it, right? Where he says, you know, he holds it, you know, that's kind of his playground. That's where he exercises dominion, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, it's extremely difficult to, like, ascertain specifically what he's talking about. Yeah. I'm just saying it's the devil because it's just so beautiful and just wonderfully written, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so... this is a guy I'd love to sit and have a conversation with. Fashal.
Yes.
Fashal. What do you get the song?
Okay, so when it started out, I was like, whoa, this is like close to a 10.
Yeah.
And then when it like started in, and I don't like that vocal style. And then like I couldn't understand the words. And then it had like, if I wasn't watching the bar move in iMovie and it was a CD, I would have said, that CD it's skipping.
Right.
Because, like, it sounded like there was, like, a problem.
Yes.
And so there was, like, parts of it that I was like, no, I'm not feeling it. And then there was other parts I was like, well, that's really cool. And then in the end, going over the lyrics, like, so it, like, went down to, like, a 6. And then now it's probably, you know, up to an 8.9.
This is a 9.9 for me.
Woo!
It would have gotten a 10. I don't have a problem with the vocal style. I don't think this was a vocal style issue. I thought this was a production issue.
Oh, maybe.
So, like, I felt like if there would have been a little bit more focus on balancing out the vocals a little bit with the instrumentation, it would have been a 10 for me. I thought I'm gonna listen to the song, and I'll probably listen to that whole record, because I'm like you, like I'm extremely curious as to what the instrumentals are going to sound like. And of course they flipped everything, you know, because usually you'll have a record with a bunch of songs and one instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
This record you have a bunch of instrumentals and one song.
Yeah.
So I thought that's a pretty risky thing to do.
Yeah.
These guys are obviously not trying to get rich on
it. And you kind of wonder, like, if all the songs bleed into one another. So if song 5 is like plays out that same sound that you have at the beginning of song 6, which is God of Love. So anyway, there you have it.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Blastroid, thank you very much.
Yeah, bro, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. This is like I'm in a very strange mood. So this is probably stuff I'll be listening to for sure.
There we go.
There you are. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.